Just ringing up Christopher Browell, leaving you my daily message.
This is the Vodafone voicemail service for 07762471196. Please leave a message after the tone. When you finish recording, please hang up or press the hash key for more options.
Oh, hello, Mr. Browell. It's Mr. Hussein here, once again leaving yourself a message regarding my brother Talib Hussein. Today is the 3rd of October 2023, Tuesday, and the time is around about midday. And I'm once again leaving yourself a message asking you to contact me, or anybody from the council, in fact, to contact me regarding my brother's whereabouts and health and concerns that we as a family have regarding him. It's now been 57 days, I believe, that you've kidnapped him unlawfully, taken him from our home in urine-soaked clothes, without any access to any clothing, not knowing about his dietary needs, not knowing about his cultural needs, not having any assessments carried out. You've just come and taken him, abducted him on false allegations, put him into a hospital he didn't need to go to at a time when the doctors are striking and the ambulance services are overwhelmed. You created a false narrative in order for you to gain an upper hand and have leverage over me in the ongoing court proceedings to make me and my brother homeless in order for you to succeed in that case. So this is what's happened, and you have now, like I said, there is no legal rights, there is no legal framework. As you can see, in parallel, I'm sending you emails, not just to you but to everybody now. I'm no doubt you've received my email of this morning, which clearly highlights your own fraud and corruption and malevolence, doesn't it? This without a shadow of a doubt now that as a result of you kidnapping my brother on the 3rd of August 2018, 5 years ago, and at a time when you had him solely in your care and custody, namely held at Linfield Mount Hospital, without my contact, without allowing me to see my brother, and whilst at the same time the local authority, through your manager Vicina Brown, was looking to depose me as nearest relative through ongoing court proceedings. So that was what's happening in October 2018, 5 years ago. And I believe on the 14th of October, you forcibly got my brother to sign over. And when I say you, obviously I don't mean you personally. I mean you, the district care city mental health team, all consisting of Nadia Khan, Vicina Brown, Baljit Nota, Sanjeev Singh, Dr. Shamoon Sami, Dr. Reshmi Dixon, and no doubt with the solicitor that I had got for my brother at the time, Alistair Bateman. All of you colluded and conspired in order to get my brother to sign over his appointeeship, so you could be in charge of his money. At the time in October, you did not have. Excuse me. At the time in October, you did not have the authority, the legal authority to act on his behalf. You were not his financial deputy. That financial deputy role was given to my brother Adalat at the hearing before your other crooked judge, Judge Hesford, on the 2nd of January 2018. He was put in as an interim measure when the reality is that it was going to be the independent solicitor, namely Ramsden Solicitors, whom would have ideally been his court-appointed deputies after Dalit, but that could not take place. They had refused to become his deputy, Talib's deputy, because they were at the time my mother's deputy. So you had a problem there. You tried to pay off and coach Alistair Bateman to become the deputy. He refused because obviously it was outside his remit, and he knew he would be partaking in a fraud. So failing this, you doctored the orders of Dr. Hesford to put your name as the deputy. So that was fraud. But in the interim, that before executing that, you needed to get my brother to sign over his money to you. So you have been in charge of his money, it's DWP benefit money, since the 14th of October 2018. My evidence presented to you is undeniable. It's directly from a telephone call to the DWP, who you have been colluding and conspiring with, and I stopped the money. So I wanted this issue resolved with in October 2019, when I had become my brother's lasting power of attorney holder. And what you did was, because you realized that I had presented legal documents to the DWP, namely a registered lasting power of attorney, that then forced you to doctor the court only other legal instrument, which was the court order that you had commissioned Adalat be in charge of Judge Hesford on the 2nd of January. So because there was nothing else preventing or allowing you to be in control, you were forced into a situation through my lasting power of attorney registered, where you doctored the order. That is a criminal offence, a high treasonable criminal offence, where you've taken a court order and put your name on it when it didn't belong there. And also, in addition to the fact that you had got my brother forcibly to sign over his DWP appointeeship to you unlawfully under duress, which you have then used to collect his DWP benefit money.
You have 15 seconds recording time remaining.
Yes, Mr. Browell, I'm just obviously looking to wrap up this call. So you've been caught out committing fraud. It's undeniable. And what you're now going to have to do is you're going to have to buy off a lot more judges and a lot more police and a lot more criminality. I would suggest you return my brother to me ASAP. You cannot care for him. He's then going to end up dying in your care. I'm recording everything.
Sorry, your recording time has expired. To leave your message, press 1. Message sent. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
Okay, so you can see the fact that, yes, this was a situation. I've sent them a gotcha email today on the 3rd of October, and it clearly highlights how they have managed to take control of my brother's finances. They have managed to take control of my brother's finances by, obviously, doctoring court orders. They had effectively got Adalat to act as their proxy agent through the commissioning of Rodney Noon solicitors, whom were working with the council in the background. So it was all a contrivance, all a falsely put together contrivance, a kangaroo court set up to fool us. And they fooled nobody. I went to this courtroom in 2nd of January 2018, and the Judge Hesford kicked me out. And eventually the decision that was made by the Judge Hesford in my absence was that Adalat was going to be the interim deputy, because they needed to have him be the interim deputy to facilitate the Pocock hearing that was going to take place a week or two later. So that's why they were desperate to get a financial deputy in place. It could not have been Bradford Council, because it would have been a conflict of interest if it was Bradford Council on the 2nd of January, because Bradford Council were the ones that were pursuing the Pocock case 2 weeks later in January 2018. So they needed my brother Adalat to play his part in being a family member who's going to be acting on behalf of Talib to get to help him get his money that they had taken off me, or that they had the money that they had control over, or which was in their control, basically, that the money in my bank accounts, which they had seized, they were going to give that to Adalat. And so in January 2018, this was a fraud that was taking place by the commissioning of Judge Hesford, District Judge Hesford, on the 2nd of January, and then obviously the hearing before District Judge Judge Saville a couple of weeks later was also contrived. But moving on from this, they've got all what they wanted. If you buy the judge off, you can get any outcome you want. They got the outcome that they wanted. By February, my mother signed over a lasting power of attorney, which has put a spanner in the works. Then moving forward, coming up to June, July, my brother was being seriously neglected. I made made videos of this. I raised this issue with the Office of the Public Guardian and the local authority. And in a response to me raising safeguarding alerts, what's happened is that they have then come and attacked me and abducted my brother on the 3rd of August. While they've got him in custody, they said that we're taking him as a result of sectioning him under Section 2 of the Mental Health Act, which was also an abuse of process and abuse of power, because ultimately they just wanted custody of him. They needed some pretext to take him from my house. They came with the police, made some pretext, abducted him on the 3rd of August. By the end of August, 28 days later, they had to either make a decision to keep him in on Section 2 or look to move him onto Section 3. I had a very lengthy conversation with Dr. Gale. I think it was Dr. Gale Smith, on the end of August. And then at that time, August 2018, they tell me, oh, now your brothers, we're going to take legal action to remove you as the nearest relative because you're not acting in your brother's best interest. They made some gobbledygook that have not been giving him his medications, and that justified them taking legal action through Vicina Brown, lies and deceptions, in order to take this matter to the court of in order to take it to the county court to have me removed. It's interesting that at that time the case was listed, submitted in Bradford County Court, went to Leeds before Judge Geddes, interestingly the same judge that would be in my mum's case, and then sent back to Bradford. And then there was this toing and froing from Bradford to Leeds, and and then eventually I managed to get him a solicitor, which was Alistair Bateman. So these guys then commissioned the services of Alistair Bateman, just as they would later in 2021 commissioned the services of my solicitors in London, Burke Niazi solicitors, and that's a regular occurrence, just buying off the solicitors. So at the time they had bought off the solicitor Alistair Bateman. They had kept my brother there for a period of time under Section 2. And then they had instigated parallel court protection proceedings. And then at this stage, because obviously the Linfield Mart Hospital does not keep people there indefinitely, they needed to move him on somewhere. They were trying to encourage my brother to go into a care home, and he refused to do so. So Dr. Shamoon Sami was involved at that time, Dr. Rashmi Digson, Sanjeev Singh was involved, and also then Fungai Muchichitiri and Baljit Nota. So he was in their care and custody, and at that time they needed him to sign over, because obviously the plan then was they were going to make him a ward of the state, and subsequently they would have got all the legal authority after the event. But they had him in their care and custody, and they were going to make him a ward of the state. They were going to send me to prison in November for failing to pay outstanding POCA costs, POCA money, proceeds of Crime Act money, and so it was all a plan, but it all fell apart in November, and eventually my brother was returned back into my care in December. But the problem is that whilst they had him in their custody and care, they had forced him to sign over his appointeeship. Appointeeship for DWP appointeeship, so Bradford Council could take over his money. That's what they did in October 2018. They had not proceeded to make any further they didn't know what to do with my brother's finances, because now that they were in control of the finances, Adal at this stage in 2018 was still the financial deputy. He had not been removed as a financial deputy. And so what they needed to do then, a year later, when he had come out into my care and signed over both his health and welfare, the lasting power of attorney, and property and finance power of lasting power of attorney to me, a year later, and when I had utilized that and executed it and told the DWP that, look, this is the situation, suspend his payments until we get this issue resolved with, send out an assessor to meet Talib so Talib can be met and the situation can be resolved with. The DWP colluded, the local authority then colluded with the DWP and said that, no, we've got a court order. A year later in 2019, a year later, in 2019, they docked the original court order of Judge Hesford naming Adalat, and then obviously we've had the situation ongoing from 2019, where in 2020 they've then reported to the Office of the Public Guardian. They've then had to commission the Office of the Public Guardian to get involved. Then they've had to commission the services of the District Judge Beckley, whom they had previously commissioned in relation to my mother. So it's just becoming a very nightmarish issue for them, because the evidence is undeniable what they've been doing. They've got control of my brother's finances unlawfully, illegally, after having sent me to prison for pretty much the same crimes that they are now committing. So yeah, I mean, what they're gonna say, the evidence is there in black and white. There, you can't mess with like financial evidence, because there's a record of it. The record's been kept by the banking system, independent. Hopefully, you can't doctor it. Yes, I mean, and whilst I'm around, you're gonna do something like this. Absolutely horrendous, absolutely ridiculous, absolutely diabolical of them. But what can one do but persevere? This is one of the reasons now I feel my brother's life's in danger, because these people, when they get cornered, what they do is they just end up killing somebody. Whenever I corner them and get them for what the crimes are, they act malevolently, and a knee-jerk reaction, end up killing somebody. They've ended up murdering my brother Nazem. They've ended up murdering my mother in January 2022, and now they're going to do the same thing with my brother. I live in fear of my life. I live in prayer of my brother's life, because they're trying to kill us off, because they have been caught out red-handed committing fraud and corruption against the public purse, and going against what they're supposed to be doing, and causing harm, alarm, and distress to everybody. As you can see, I'm very alarmed and distressed that they're choosing to give me the silent treatment, which is a really nasty piece of treatment, because you just don't know where you stand. This is psychological torture. This is gaslighting me, trying to make me go crazy by denying me access to information that I have a fundamental right to. And so every day I'm ringing them up, leaving them a message, and every day they're just simply ignoring it and saying, no, we're going to do it whatever way we want because we're a local authority. And yet they consistently and persistently fail in everything that they do, because they're malevolent and corrupt to the core. Absolutely horrendous, absolutely ridiculous, absolutely diabolical.